Guys, an important week is ahead. We have the Fed meeting, maybe the last rate hike of the entire cycle, and we have absolutely crucial earnings this week. In crypto, a couple of things happening. Obviously, a lot of stories around Binance on the one hand, firing people on the other hand. There's some really weird kind of movement going on with the funds. And we have the SEC who may be appealing against Ripple. So let's dive in. It's week 30 of 2023. A lot of stuff going on. It's probably going to be a very turbulent week. So without much further ado, let's discuss the specifics. First and foremost, if this is the first time you're on my channel, hey, welcome. My name is Julian. It's my mission to make you crypto fit, which means I want you to understand this beautiful world of decentralization, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and obviously much more. A little bit about the macro, a little bit about the micro. As the CEO of the Cake Group of Bake, I have different hats on. I have that hat on as a CEO. I have that hat on as a personal investor. I do obviously a lot of work with regulators. And so, it's always a little bit of a different viewpoint that I'm going to try to put in. And if we try to do this for the entire week, I think this week from an expectation standpoint, right? And I think there's always things that you should be expecting that are happening. And then there's things that obviously always come up as unexpected. And as a good investor, you are kind of prepared. There's always things that come out unexpectedly. But on the other hand, you cannot just always bank on them. You need to bank on those that are expected. And there are two major events this week that are non-crypto that are expected. That's the Fed, and these are a lot of earnings, especially from big techs. So that's going to be the expected ones. They're going to be crucial. We're going to start around unexpected possibilities. Now, first, Binance. We covered it in the intro. Binance, on the one hand, doing some really weird stuff. They're letting a lot of people go. I mean, I don't think there's anything too weird about this. I mean, look, CC always calls it FUD. I don't know. It really depends a bit on how you see this. I think it's absolutely fine how some of the companies are letting people go, especially if they're hired too aggressively. I don't think there's anything too weird about this. I mean, a lot of people are letting people go, and just if Binance lets, 1,000 people go, which is about 15% of the workforce, to be honest, I don't think there's too much to it. Sure, would they let people go if they're doing super well? Of course not. But then on the other hand, it also makes sense to kind of streamline and really kind of slim down and work this. And I mean, look, we're not letting people go at the Cake Group, but we're also having performance reviews right now. And there are also some people we're willing to sit down with and make sure, hey, look at the rest. There's, a couple of percent where you need to step it up. And that's normal, right? And so obviously, if you're tight with money already, we're not, but let's say the Binance Group is, then it makes sense. You need to just, cut your losses faster. So I don't think there's too much to that. Where I do think there's some weird stuff going on is everything around TrueUSD. They are running this earn program now. I think this is a bit weird. And then obviously always these interconnections with Tether, with Huobi, with Justin Sun. So these are just things that, I think are always a bit sketchy. So I think that's that one thing. The second thing in the entire kind of space right now, obviously with Ripple and the SEC signaled last week that they're probably going to appeal. Now, I'm not 100% sure how much this is going to make sense for them. There are, from everyone that kind of looks into this, and we had talked about this here as well, I don't think the SEC got this all too wrong. Now, sure, there may be some nuances that's going to get changed, but at the end, I think in the grand scheme of things, the courts got this right. Sorry, the SEC, I'm not talking about the SEC, I'm talking about the courts. The courts got this kind of right, how they are judging this, where the primary sale is security and then the secondary market is a commodity, or it's not a security, for the very simple reason that you don't have any claim against the original issue. And that's, I think, a very important difference here. So, and that's it in crypto. There's a lot of noise going on around with NFTs right now. Ordinal saw a little bit of a drama last week. The entire kind of Bitcoin scene has a bit of a drama with some of the Bitcoin maxis shooting against each other. It feels like a bear market. And look, I talk about this so often, how I actually believe right now the price of 30,000, we should be glad it's there, because I think probably the normal price would be that we are, at around 15,000 or something, had Binance not bought so aggressively these Bitcoins. So I don't know. I think nothing changed. The hopium around the Bitcoin spot ETFs will continue. I think we're going to see maybe some of the updates on this beginning of September. So still about 1.5 months to go for that. And yeah, it kind of makes sense that everyone is now frustrated that it's too slow. Remember, that's the feeling we probably had mid-June before the announcement around BlackRock and so on coming in and trying to file for a Bitcoin spot ETF. So yeah, nothing changed. Things still the same. For you, this should mean dollar cost average. This means buy Bitcoin, buy ETH, buy DeFi chain, regular. Don't try to time the markets. And I think that's going to be an essential one. On other crypto news, on our side, on Bake, we're going to get the dollar cost averaging feature out. We're going to start with DeFi chain dollar cost averaging. We're going to try to implement that in a way where you have zero fees doing that, even if you pay with credit cards. So you can double dip with points and miles and so on and have zero fees. So that's going to be a very, very unique feature in the entire market. So you should definitely watch out for that. On DeFi chain, there should soon be the announcement of the hard fork date. A lot of updates on this, especially with the DSTs, the tokens that they can be swapped between the base layer and the metachain layer. So this is just a lot of stuff happening there. And we're gonna be publishing the transparency report for Q2 this week. So we are on time there as well, and doing this always in July. There's always also a lot of work. I wrote that reflecting a bit on what went well, what didn't go well, what to expect for Q3. So, and probably also the rest of the year. So a lot of exciting news around this. That's crypto. So let's dive into the non-crypto, and that's the expected part that's probably going to make the news this week. First and foremost, Fed meeting. We're going to have on Wednesday, and everything else other than the 25 basis points hike is going to be a major surprise. I don't think we're going to see anything else. The bigger question here is going to be more, is this going to be the last rate hike? That's going to be an interesting one. I'm not sure if we're going to figure this out from Jay Powell this time, or whether we're going to figure this out in the Fed minutes that are going to come out obviously in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be the major thing in this. I still think it's a bit up in the air. We may have the last rate hike in this kind of cycle. I don't think we're going to see one in September. I rather think we're going to see one at the beginning of November. I actually think this is going to depend a lot on the economic factors in this. And so let's kind of jump into the next topic, because I think that's even more important right now than the Fed meeting. And we've seen this last week already. Last week, we talked about this. Tesla and Netflix both reported earnings. And actually, their reports were good. And then both stocks sold off 10%. And that is obviously quite hardcore, because if you have good reports, why is this sell-off happening? And this week we have basically the other large tech companies other than Apple, because Apple is always the weird one out. They're gonna only report in August. Everyone else, Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all reporting this week. And so why is this so crucial? Well, it's so crucial because we have seen big tech doing massively well the entire year. And obviously there are two reasons why crypto has done so well. Well, all of tech has done super well, and then we had Binance gobbling up all these Bitcoins on top. And that's why Bitcoin did so well, crypto did so well, and why big tech has been doing well. So it's going to be so interesting to see what's their forecast, how in their opinion is the economy doing. And that's going to be an absolutely crucial point. And I think that's going to be more relevant than what the Fed kind of sees at this very moment. I belong to this group who still thinks we're going to see a recession in the second half of the year. I talked about this at the beginning of the year. Yes, I want to be honest. I thought we're going to see the recession more during the summer. Now, summer is happening right now, so it could be that we're still seeing the recession, I don't know, later in August, September. But I still think the recession's in the cards. I don't think the economy's doing well. I don't think people are doing well. I think everyone is on knife's edge. And so, yeah, the only reason why maybe the Fed is going to raise rates in September or maybe November. It's just so they can drop them even more later on. And at the end, rates generally take 12 months to kind of go into effect. And we're going to see this right now. So that is where I'm standing in all this. I think it's an absolute crucial week. I think it's going to be a tough week for some of these big tech companies. And it's going to be very interesting to see what they say, how they kind of forecast all this. So a absolute crucial week to watch. These are the things that I'm taking care of or keeping an eye on. Let me know if I'm missing anything. Again, if you enjoy this type of content, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the like button. Hey, if you don't subscribe, crypto prices are not going up. So you really want to risk this? No, you don't. So better subscribe. No, don't put a bad omen on that. And then I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Yours truly, Julian. Bye-bye.